The silver fountain pen stopped moving before Evelynn Thomas said a word. It hovered above the receipt between us, its polished barrel catching the California sunlight and throwing it across the marble table. Around us, the hotel atrium carried on with its expensive morning noise, cups touching saucers, luggage wheels crossing stone, a pianist repeating 4 careful bars near the elevators. Evelynn sat with her back to all of it, watching only me. The receipt was damp at one corner from the condensation beneath her untouched orange juice. Her hand stayed perfectly still. That was what felt wrong. Evelynn had chosen the busiest table in the lobby, then positioned herself so she could see every exit without turning her head. "You don't look like a hostage negotiator." "That's because hostages are only one kind of leverage." The answer made one corner of her mouth move. She wore a pale yellow dress and a linen jacket. Her fingers looked like the private version of herself. "Jameson Johnson?" "Yes." "Senior crisis negotiator at Northbridge Risk and Resolution." "And a licensed attorney," I said. "Our litigation department handles filings. I handle the part before a lawsuit becomes inevitable." Her eyes flicked toward the black leather check presenter. "Good. I don't need another man threatening to sue people before he knows what happened." "Then we'll get along." Her phone vibrated. A reporter's name flashed across the screen, then vanished. A second vibration followed before the first had faded. "You have 48 hours, I said. "You read the brief?" 3 times on the flight, Arthur Vance released a redacted document accusing you of moving $3 million into private accounts. The story went live at 7:12. Your board is holding an emergency meeting before your contracted television interview on Thursday. And? The document has no verifiable digital signature, no complete metadata, and no chain of custody. She watched me in silence. I let the silence stay where it was. In negotiations, silence was a vacuum. The other side rushed to fill it, and people who rushed tended to leave fingerprints behind. Evelynn uncapped the pen. Instead of writing, she turned it once between her fingers. A thin scratch ran along the cap, nearly invisible unless the light caught it. "Arthur doesn't want the money," she said. I waited. "He wants me to answer the accusation before I know which part of the truth he plans to cut out next." "What part is he holding?" She wrote a number followed by 6 zeros and pushed the presenter toward me. The amount was twice Northbridge's quoted retainer. "My standard fee is half of this." "Take the full amount." "No." Her eyes narrowed. "You came here to negotiate?" "I came to make sure panic doesn't become part of the contract." I slid the presenter back. "The standard fee stays in escrow. The firm's litigation department handles any filing. My job is to find out what Arthur has, what he claims to have, and what he is trying to make you do before Thursday." Her thumb pressed against the pen so hard the skin beneath the nail went white. "He told the board I'm past my prime," she said, "that I don't have the stamina for the modern market. He wants them to replace me with someone younger before the interview. That explains the insult. It doesn't explain the fear." The pianist missed a note. Nobody reacted. Evelynn did. Her eyes moved toward the sound and returned to me. "You're going to ask for the raw communications?" "Yes." "And if I refuse?" "Then I negotiate blind." "And if the raw communications put other people at risk?" "We build a protected review process before we use anything publicly." Her shoulders loosened by a fraction. "You already have a process for that." "I have a process for almost everything. It's why people hire me instead of shouting at reporters." The phone vibrated again. "May I answer it?" I asked. She considered the question, then nodded. I picked up the device. "This is Jameson Johnson, crisis counsel for Evelynn Thomas." The reporter demanded a comment about the alleged $3 million diversion. "Arthur supplied a partial PDF without a verifiable source record." I said, "You have a file, not authenticated evidence. If you publish the allegation as fact, our litigation department will address the interference claim. I'll provide a responsible statement by noon." "Are you denying the transfer?" "I'm saying you don't yet know what it was." I ended the call and placed the phone face down. You didn't raise your voice. Volume is usually what people use when their evidence is late. Her almost smile returned. I'll pay the standard fee, she said, but understand something before you sign. I'm listening. Arthur has a list. The words landed softly, which made them worse. A list of what? Names? Whose names? She closed the presenter and kept one hand on top of it. That is the part I cannot let you know yet. You're hiring me to protect a problem you won't identify. I'm hiring you to stop Arthur from forcing me to identify it in front of a camera. The distinction was deliberate. Then our first deliverable is a risk map, I said. Every claim, every source, every person who can be damaged by the next move. No one goes public until we know who pays for it. She signed the contract with the silver pen. The ink formed a precise line beneath her name. You sound like you've done this before. I have. She studied me, then slid the contract across the table. Good, she said. I don't need a promise. I need the next move. I placed my hand over the contract, not hers. The next move is to find out why 12 people are more frightening to you than $3 million. By 11:30, we moved into a windowless conference room on the 4th floor. Evelynn stood in the doorway with a box of files balanced against her hip. That coffee is not part of the standard of care. I'm a negotiator, not a magician. You hide behind carefully chosen nouns. The laugh escaped her before she could stop it. I took the box from her. The facts were simple. A $3 million bridge loan had kept 280 workers paid during a supply chain crisis, and the board had approved it the next morning. Arthur's PDF showed only the transfer page and one genuine sentence from Evelynn's email. I'll do whatever it takes to secure these funds, even if it means keeping the board in the dark until it's done. The proof was somewhere in the company archive. Somewhere was not safe enough. She reached for the silver pen, then stopped. It belonged to my father. He used it to sign the first manufacturing lease. At 3, Priya Nandakumar joined by secure video and locked the relevant files before we opened them. Evelynn placed a page face down on the table. The list, I said. I need to understand the threat before I ask you to carry it. Her palm covered the page. She was not hiding the names to control me. She was trying to keep me from becoming another weapon Arthur could use against the people on it. Then we keep it sealed until we know who has access to his source network, I said. For the next 3 hours, we worked side by side. Evelynn read vendor agreements while I compared timestamps across the finance system and the old email archive. When her coffee went cold, I moved it away from her elbow before she knocked it over. When my legal pad filled, she turned it around and added a 4th column. Who benefits? I asked. Your column was too narrow. You're editing my risk map. I'm improving it. You're a client. And you're welcome. I did not tell her she was right. She already knew. At 7:40, Priya found the first irregularity. Arthur's PDF had been exported from a document management system, but its creation timestamp came after the email it supposedly represented. Someone had opened a legitimate archive, copied selected pages, and assembled a new file. That proves manipulation, I said. It proves assembly, Priya corrected, not intent. We need the source record. Evelynn looked at me. She was used to people turning every useful fact into a weapon before checking whether it could survive the next question. How many clues do you need? Enough to make the truth boring. That may be the least romantic sentence anyone has ever said to me. You hired a crisis negotiator. I'm beginning to understand the mistake. We ordered turkey sandwiches. Evelynn removed the tomato from mine without asking. I don't eat tomato, I said. You left it on every plate since lunch. That was evidence collection. Of what? A hostile vegetable. She pushed the plate toward me. Eat. The sandwich was warm. The small act of being noticed felt dangerous. At 9:15, the board's general counsel emailed a draft resignation statement. Evelynn placed the phone beside the pen. They wrote the statement before asking for my answer. That's social pressure, I said. Someone wants you to confuse silence with surrender. At midnight, the hotel lights dimmed. Evelynn stood by the service corridor window with 2 paper cups of tea. "Chamomile," she said, giving me one. "You remembered? You ordered it at 4. You remembered that I remembered. Don't make it sentimental." We watched the ocean beyond the hotel. "Why did you build the company?" I asked. "My father believed quality was a form of respect. After he died, the factory was bought by people who treated workers like numbers. I started my company because I thought I could prove him right." "And Arthur?" "Arthur knew how to grow faster. I knew how to keep the promises made during growth. That caused the split. He wanted to move production overseas and cut the team that objected. 12 people left with me. Arthur threatened to blacklist them if they followed." "Why not tell the board?" "The proof is on a private server that Arthur's former security contractor still has access to. If I expose it, the 12 become witnesses. If I stay silent, Arthur uses my silence to make me look guilty. Every path leads through them. Then we identify the access point, preserve the records, and give them independent counsel before anyone speaks," I said. "You say that as if it can be done by morning." "It can be started by morning." "That is not the same thing." "No, but it is the only honest promise available." She studied me. "You really don't promise what you can't control." "I've lost people by doing the opposite." The sentence escaped before I could examine it. She did not ask who. At 1:18 in the morning, the secure server reported an attempted deletion of the bridge loan folder. Priya's preservation protocol had locked the records, but the request came from a legacy administrator account belonging to Colin Mercer, a former security contractor who had worked for Arthur. "He shouldn't still have access," Evelynn said. "Shouldn't is not a security setting," Priya replied. "I need authorization to revoke every legacy credential and preserve the logs." Evelynn reached for the mouse. I stopped short of touching her hand. "Do you want me to handle that? Or do you want to?" "I'll authorize it. You preserve the record." She signed. At 2:06, Colin's access was revoked. 6 minutes later, an email arrived with a photograph of a handwritten page. 12 names in a sentence. "You can save your company, or you can save your people. Choose before the cameras turn on." Evelynn reached for the fountain pen. It rolled onto the floor. I placed it back in her hand. "You can save both," I said. "That is what people say before they discover the price." "Then we calculate the price." Priya preserved the email headers, Martin prepared the sworn declaration and independent counsel notices, and I opened an evidence log with the exact times and account records. "That may slow the response," Martin said. "It may prevent a second crisis," I replied. Evelynn nodded. "Do it." For the next 2 hours, we worked through the records. Evelynn marked each of the 12 names as protected, and I built the evidence log that would keep their fear from becoming a headline. At 5:12, Noah Bell, one of the 12 developers, answered Evelynn's call. "I'm not signing anything," he said. "You don't have to," she told him. "You'll have independent counsel. Arthur says the company will collapse if we talk." "Arthur says many things," I replied. "We're interested in what he can prove." "Can you protect my job?" "No one can promise that without lying. We can preserve the evidence and make sure you don't negotiate alone." After the call, Evelynn closed her eyes. He offered them silence because he knew I would respect it. Then we turned silence into a choice instead of a restraint. At 6:30, Arthur released a statement saying Evelynn was refusing to cooperate with the board. "This says nothing about the team," she said. "Procedure protects people when the story is moving faster than the evidence." "And if they still vote me out?" "Then they vote you out while the evidence is preserved, not while it is being erased." She looked at the pen. "You make losing sound organized." "Organization is how you make room for a win." At 8, 6 voices crowded the board line. Daniel Reeve, the chairman, spoke first. "Evelynn, did you conceal a $3 million transfer?" "The transfer was a bridge loan. The supporting records are preserved." Did you conceal it? I delayed the board vote until the lender's deadline was met. The board approved the transaction the following morning. We have an email in which you admit keeping the board in the dark. The email is authentic. The interpretation is incomplete. The line erupted. I watched her hand move toward the mute button. Do you want me to handle the process question? I asked quietly. Or do you want to answer him yourself? I'll answer the company question. You handle the evidence. She unmuted. Arthur Vance is using a real sentence to imply a false transaction. We have the signed board minutes, payment schedule, and lender correspondence. We are preserving all of it for independent review. Daniel's voice hardened. You are refusing to resign. I am refusing to resign before the board examines the full record. The board cannot wait for a legal seminar. Then the board can wait for the truth. Silence followed. Evelynn had placed silence in the middle of the board's panic and refused to remove it for them. Daniel turned to me. What exactly do you have? A preserved access log showing an attempted deletion at 1:18 this morning. A forensic record showing Arthur's PDF was assembled after the source email was created. A list of 12 employees who received threats connected to non-compete agreements, and a legal team preparing a sworn declaration. You're accusing Arthur of tampering. I'm stating what the records currently show. The final conclusion belongs to the evidence in the court. Can you prove the board minutes exist? Yes. I opened the secure folder Martin's team had received from the board secretary through an independent account. The file had been hashed and delivered with a signed transfer record. The certified copy was received at 8:07, I said. The file hash matches the archive record. The minutes are dated October 5th, 3 years ago. They contain the bridge loan approval and the signatures of every board member present, including Arthur Vance. The line went quiet. Why wasn't this in the packet Arthur gave us? Daniel asked. Because he gave you a packet designed to make the question simpler than the truth. Evelynn's hand rested flat on the table. The board has a choice, she said. You can issue a statement that the review is ongoing and protect the employees named in Arthur's threats, or you can accept a partial file as a verdict and ask me to leave before the evidence is examined. Daniel did not answer. I am not asking you to trust me, she continued. I am asking you to read the documents before you decide what I did. The board call ended with a temporary decision, no resignation request before the broadcast, an independent review, and a preservation order concerning the private server. It was not a victory. It was a cleared path. At noon, we moved to a secluded corner of the hotel bar. Evelynn wore a structured navy suit. The silver pen rested beside the printed interview timeline. The host will ask about the $3 million, I said. Answer with the bridge loan, the date, and the certified minutes. Then she'll ask whether I threatened the team. Answer with independent counsel and Arthur's written threats. Then she'll ask if I'm blaming him to avoid accountability. Say that accountability is why the evidence was preserved. She looked at me. You prepared the answer. I prepared the structure. You decide the words. What if I want to say something else? Then say it. Even if it makes the story messier. People don't trust polished answers when the question is ugly. Her fingers traced the timeline. You keep giving me permission to disagree with you. You're not a hostage. You said that at the beginning. It remains relevant. She glanced toward the lobby. A photographer stood near the entrance, pretending to check his phone. I don't want to rehearse the last questions here. She picked up the original receipt, turned it over, and wrote 3 digits on the back. Then she slid it toward me. I looked at the number. Room 614. What's this for? She met my eyes. Come by after 9. Only if you want me to. I'm asking. Then I'll come. At 9:18, I knocked on room 614. Evelynn opened the door almost immediately. She had changed into charcoal trousers and a loose cream sweater. 2 chairs and a locked document case waited inside. You notice exits, she said. It's a specialized skill. We rehearsed the interview at the small table. I stopped her whenever a truthful answer sounded like a board memo, and she stopped me whenever my advice became another form of control. Speak to the person at home who has never opened a corporate filing, I said. I don't know that person. You do. You were that person when your father's factory was sold. The pen stopped moving. Don't use my father to make me sound accessible. I'm asking you to remember why the facts matter. She looked toward the window. He believed quality was respect. Then say that you are very difficult to impress. I'm easy to impress, I'm difficult to distract. Her laugh loosened the room without changing its boundaries. At 11:47, Martin sent the final confirmation. The preservation filing had been accepted. The 12 employees had independent counsel, and the board would support a complete review. Evelynn read the message twice. No one has lost a job tonight. No. That feels like a win. It is a result that survived the night. She set down the phone. What happened to the person you lost? The question was quiet, and it gave me a choice. A client decided silence would be safer than telling the truth. By the time he spoke, the people who could have helped him had already left. And you blame yourself. I blame the way I handled it. She accepted that without trying to repair it. She only moved the unopened bottle of water from her side of the table to mine. Drink. I did. At midnight, I closed the folder. What if I freeze, she asked. Look at the pen. Answer the next question, not the one you're afraid is coming. She glanced down. You make silence sound useful. It is useful when you choose it. At the door, she stopped. If I walk into that studio alone, will you still be there? If you want me there, I'll be off camera. I want you there. Then I'll be there. She nodded. Get some sleep. You first. I'm the client. You're the one who gave me the tomato. Her laugh followed me into the corridor. The studio was bright with cameras and moving producers. Arthur's latest statement accused Evelynn of using employee agreements to silence the 12 developers. He wants them to think the filing is an excuse, she said. Then explain what it protects. The host, Mira Cole, asked whether she was comfortable responding. I'm comfortable responding to verified documents, Evelynn said. Mira looked at me. And you're the crisis counsel? I'm the crisis negotiator and attorney assigned to preserve the process. Ms. Thomas will answer for her company. Evelynn adjusted the cuff of her navy suit. Her hands were steady, but her thumb searched for the scratch on the pen cap. I held out the silver fountain pen. You left it in the folder. She took it. I thought you were keeping it. It's yours. You carried it from the hotel. You asked me to bring the notes. That is not what I asked. The red studio light turned on. Evelynn went to the chair. I stood outside the camera frame with Martin's evidence packet, the certified board minutes, forensic report, preserved access log, independent counsel notices, and emergency filing receipt. The first question was exactly what we expected. Arthur Vance claims you moved $3 million into a private account and concealed the transfer from your board. Did you? No, Evelynn said. The money was a bridge loan used to keep factory workers paid during a supply chain interruption. The transfer was approved by the board the following morning on October the 5th, 3 years ago. The certified minutes and payment schedule have been provided to your producers. Arthur says the email in which you wrote, I'll do whatever it takes to secure these funds, even if it means keeping the board in the dark until it's done, is a confession. The email is authentic. The accusation is not. The sentence refers to the lender's deadline. The board was informed and approved the loan the next day. Arthur provided a partial exchange because the complete record disproves his interpretation. Mira leaned forward. Let's talk about the 12 employees. Arthur says they were pressured into silence by your company's agreements. Evelynn placed the pen on the table. The 12 employees were offered independent counsel before any statement was requested. Their names are protected because Arthur threatened to blacklist them if they followed me when we separated the company. Do you have proof? Yes. We preserved the messages, captured the access records, and filed for emergency protection of the private server. The evidence is being reviewed independently. Why not release it now? Evelynn paused. The studio became very quiet. The audience at home would probably mistake the pause for fear. She looked down at the pen, then back at the camera. Because the people in those messages are not ammunition, she said. They are employees whose careers should not be traded for a headline. We will release what can be released without exposing them to further retaliation. Mira tried to fill the silence. Some viewers will say that sounds like a convenient excuse. Some viewers may, but a convenient excuse does not come with certified records, preserved logs, independent counsel, and a court filing. We are not asking anyone to trust a performance. We are asking them to examine the evidence. Arthur claims you are refusing to resign because you are afraid of losing control. I am refusing to resign before the board examines the full record. That sounds like a distinction without a difference. It is the difference between accountability and surrender. Mira studied her. You built this company with Arthur Vance. Why should anyone believe you over him? Evelynn's hand closed around the pen. For a second, I thought she might give the polished answer about integrity. Instead, she said, they should not believe me because I sound calm. The room seemed to contract around the sentence. They should believe the signed minutes if the signatures are authentic. They should believe the payment schedule if the bank confirms it. They should believe the access log if the forensic review supports it. If any record contradicts me, they should follow the records. She looked directly into the camera. I built a company to make quality a form of respect. That means the people affected by this story deserve more than a confident answer from me. They deserve the complete record. Mira turned toward the camera. The documents provided by Thomas's legal team include certified board minutes dated October 5th, an emergency filing concerning a private server, and forensic records related to the PDF supplied by Arthur Vance. Our network will publish the full documents after independent review. The interview moved to commercial break. Evelynn did not move until the red light went dark. Did I answer the question? You answered the one underneath it. Whether I was willing to use my people to save myself. Yes. I wasn't. I know. You didn't always know. No. Before the second segment, Arthur released a statement calling the 12 employees loyalists. He is naming them, Evelynn said. React to the action, not the insult. She turned back to the camera. I will not debate private employees on television. Their counsel will receive every record relevant to Arthur's threats. Mira asked whether she feared losing her position. My position can be reviewed. Evelynn said, the team's careers should not be destroyed to protect someone else's narrative. Then she faced the camera one last time. If the board examines the complete evidence and decides I should leave, I will respect the process. If it decides before examining it, I will challenge that decision properly. I am not afraid of an outcome. I am afraid of a process that pretends the outcome was inevitable. The interview ended. The network confirmed the board minutes, and Daniel Reeve issued a statement supporting the independent review. By evening, forensic analysis proved Arthur's PDF had been assembled from genuine records, but altered to remove the approval page and rearrange the email context. The court accepted the preservation filing. I picked up my briefcase. The firm will transfer the litigation work to Martin's team tomorrow. My crisis assignment ends tonight. Evelynn stopped beside the table. You're leaving. The contract is complete. You have independent counsel and a documented process. You don't need me to make it look as if you can't defend yourself. That is not why I want you there. She touched the receipt marked Room 614. When the board shouted, you asked what I wanted you to handle. When the team was afraid, you told them the truth. You saw the list and did not demand it before I was ready. Her voice tightened. After the cameras turned off, I wanted to know whether you would still be in the room. The work was over. The contract was ending. Nothing depended on my answer. I don't date clients, I said, but you are not my client anymore. She looked at me. Then what are we? Two people who want to see each other when nobody is trying to destroy your company. Is that accurate? It is. I don't want accurate. I want you. I set down the briefcase. I want you too. She placed the silver pen in my jacket pocket. Keep it until our first dinner. So I have to come back? You asked. You answered. The joke was small, but the warmth behind it was real. The next morning, the board met without me. It voted to retain Evelynn, commission an independent security audit, and offer the 12 employees protected agreements drafted by their own counsel. Daniel Reeve issued a written correction of the resignation demand. 6 weeks later, the independent report confirmed the bridge loan, altered PDF, unauthorized access, and Arthur's threats. The 12 employees remained with the company. His settlement funded their protected legal fund and the server audit. Evelynn changed the board's emergency protocol so no executive could be removed based on a partial document. At a town hall in the renovated factory, 300 employees filled the concrete room. The 12 developers sat together near the front. Evelynn stood at the microphone with the silver pen in her hand. Jameson Johnson left the assignment when the work ended, she said. He did not ask us to trust him. He built a record we could verify. She paused. This was chosen silence, held by a woman who no longer needed to rush toward approval. The quietest person in the room is not always the weakest. Sometimes they are deciding whether the room deserves an answer. Then she looked at me. The professional part is finished. Jameson is the person I want beside me when there's no emergency to solve. The employees cheered. She handed me the pen. You kept it long enough. You wrote a room number? You came. You asked. You answered. Their laughter made the moment belong to all of us. Later, we walked through the empty factory. Evelynn carried chamomile tea. I carried the final audit. She placed the silver pen beside her father's framed lease. My father used to say silence meant nobody had thought of the right answer yet. What do you think it means? She asked. The next person to speak has to decide whether they are filling a vacuum or making room. And what are you doing? Making room. She stopped close to me, leaving the choice between us. I closed the distance. Our kiss was brief, warm, and certain. No camera light turned on, no contract changed hands. At home, she placed the pen beside my laptop. I thought you were keeping it. I said, now I'm lending it? For what? For the next thing we build? There was no deadline, board, reporter, or threat hidden in the silence. Do you want me to handle the paperwork? No, I want us to do it together. We chose each other after the evidence was complete, after the contracts ended, after both of us could walk away without losing a job, a company, or a name. The pen left a dark line on the first page of our new plan. Outside, the city moved through another ordinary night. Inside, the silence held. And this time, neither of us rushed to fill it. Healthy love is built through honest choices, clear boundaries, and the quiet decision to keep showing up when no one is watching. Healthy love is different from toxic passion because it never uses fear, money, work, or pressure as a substitute for consent. It gives both people room to choose, and then respects the choice. Like and subscribe for more clean, emotional romance stories. Which small act of consistency would make you realize someone truly cares about you? Tell us in the comments. The end.